Truth be told, not all vehicles can access high altitude trails in places like Colorado. Adventuring out here will push a vehicle to its limits and prevent the unprepared and ill-equipped from continuing on. This is the perfect setting to explain Honda mid-size capabilities. This includes the Pilot, Ridgeline, and Passport. And we're also going to clear up some confusion with 2 heat warnings that are misunderstood. But before we get into all this, I need to talk about monitoring your transmission temps using something like a scan gauge. I personally use the scan gauge 2. It's been around since the mid-2000s. And it's very trusted. Now they have the scan gauge 3, and there's also other monitoring devices out there that are cheaper. I personally just want something that works, that's effective. This gives you the ability to know what's going on with your vehicle. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I'm looking out for you. In this video, I'll cover the 2 warnings that are commonly misunderstood. Now, whenever this comes up, you could just share this video. First thing to talk about is the all-wheel drive system overheated warning, or hot warning. I could tell you firsthand that after driving my 2019 Honda Passport, 155,000 miles on the odometer, it's actually more like 170,000 because of the taller tires that I've been running since I purchased the thing. I've only had that heat warning pop up a handful of times. And I've done fins and things. I've driven all the trails in Colorado. I've never had that warning pop up on those trails. I drove up a trail like this. It's not going to pop up. Now, it wasn't until about a year ago when the chief Honda engineer explained why that warning pops up. Here's Sarah Entuned, and her assistant is going to explain why.
He explained it. There's the overheat thing isn't a diff cooler thing, like it doesn't have a temperature sensor. It's a calculated temperature based on how much slippage the computer has seen between the clutches. So once the computer has seen a certain delta in slippage, it's just like, okay, we've taken too much abuse. You gotta cool off.
In layman's terms, there is no heat or temperature sensor. There's just a rotational slip sensor where if your wheels spin uncontrollably for a long time, then that sensor trips, and you get the warning that you should probably stop doing what you're doing. That's not the driving style you should be using in an IVTM4 equipped vehicle. There's no limp mode, and quite honestly, I highly doubt that the rear diff gets even that much stress. I change my fluid out every 15,000 miles just because the severe duty schedule says I should. And that fluid is always clear every time I change it out. Just like this. And to do a Mythbuster test on what the guy's talking about, here is a situation where I was able to bring up that rear diff or all-wheel drive system overheat warning in 2 seconds of redlining my engine in snow. So you see here that we're digging out a path. So my vehicle is sitting idle and waiting. It's in no means stressed out or overheated. And here we go.
Just crawl it forward a little bit.
Okay, help me push. So that chime you heard was the all-wheel drive system overheated warning.
Oh man, wait 1 second. Because what happened was, okay, it's gone now, but like that 15-second warning, because I was just revving so crazy, it didn't like that. All right.
So now you can listen for that chime. You're not going to hear it. Driving through snow like this, it is slippery, yes, but none of this is going to trigger that warning. It has to be a ridiculous situation. And there's no possible way something is going to get that hot in 2 seconds of revving. You be the judge. Does this look like burnt fluid to you? I'm not trying to be a shill for Honda. There's just confusion out there, and I'm trying to keep it honest. For those of you that regularly watch my channel, I have almost 300 videos now. I've always kept it honest in my Subaru. I probably was a little more enthusiastic about driving that all-wheel drive, but when that vehicle failed, when the transmission failed, I was humbled. I vowed that I would not over-sensationalize anymore. I always showed all my failures and my triumphs. And in a Honda, you've seen me nearly roll my vehicle on fins and things.
Holy crap! Holy moly, John!
And you've seen me get overzealous and get myself really stuck.
See, on this side, it's pretty bad. I messed up. There's no one out here. It's a Tuesday.
I've been meaning to make this video for a long time now. There's just a lot of confusion and a lot of things that are misinterpreted. Automotive journalists will say something, issue will pop up on their channel, and it's not looked into, it's not investigated. And then people are going to get the wrong idea. And I'll have random people message me on Instagram or leave comments on YouTube saying like, hey, did you see this video? Look what happened. Just a month ago, I had a transmission problem warning pop up. And it's not what you think. Let me explain. So on our way down from this trip, the negative battery terminal in my Honda Passport became loose.
Hey, 1 second, guys. I don't know what happened here. What the hell?
Opening.
I don't know. It says like stop driving when safe. It says transmission problem. See manual. What the? Let me turn my car off. You know what? Hey, I think it's a battery issue. Let me check my battery. I don't have my radio, my battery.
So my hard-mounted radio is no longer powered because my battery is disconnected. It's not working, and that's making a Christmas tree pop up. So unfortunately, rather than getting a message like, hey, your battery terminal is disconnected, the first warning that seems to pop up is transmission problem. And there's a whole bunch of other warnings that pop up as well.
Can you guys hear me? The battery, I think it's a battery issue. So I need to tighten it, but I can't open my rear hatch.
I couldn't open my rear hatch because it's electronic assisted. So I was able to get a 10mm from my friend Lee, and we reconnected the battery.
There we go.
The fact of the matter is, Honda has some really dumb warnings that pop up that are inaccurate. So there you go. Now a lot of you know that a transmission problem message could actually come from a low battery issue, or you could just pull the wiring harness out of the shifter and immediately get that message. So for those trolls out there, you could easily self-induce a transmission problem message. I actually did this for an April Fool's joke one time. But I will tell you, I have seen a Honda overheat its transmission. This one is easy to explain. The Honda 5 and 6-speed are prone to overheating. It's a dual clutch transmission that has a torque converter. The crawl ratios are low. The 5-speed is geared about 11:1, and the 6-speed is geared about 14:1. And when I say low, I mean they're geared like most all-wheel drives. If you try to drive up mountains, there is a good chance that these Honda transmissions are going to overheat. Ooh. Whoa, what was that?
Let me blow it.
Wait.
Hold on.
Yeah, hold on. Oh man, like that transmission, it's just not, it's
Yeah. Let me blow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Randy, save your transmission, man. What's your temp stat, by the way?
Yeah.
Overheat.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do it.
Yeah. You're overheating? Okay, let Hui just pull you then, man. So when the Honda Ridgeline was first introduced in 2017, it had that Honda 6-speed. For 2020, 3 years later, they gave it a transmission that made it do truck-like things. It now had the ZF9. Same transmission that's in my Honda Passport. It's not only a lot more capable, but it's very difficult to overheat. And to me, overheating means a dangerous transmission temperature. Once it's 240, to me, that is overheating. To this Honda, the light doesn't come on until over 265. I've never seen a ZF9 get a transmission temperature overheated warning before. This is the first time I've witnessed it in person. Parker, the driver of this gray-blue Honda Ridgeline that you could see has a lot of weight to it, he was relentless. There was no quit in him. I wanted him to stop. Deep down inside, I wanted him to just take a break, stop, disconnect the sway bars at this point, or something. All of the sway bars are connected. I was worried. Yeah, eventually, after many minutes of trying to drive up, he did get the transmission overheated warning. I thought it would pop on a lot sooner, but the point is, 265 has caused damage to that transmission. Actually, Honda released a bulletin for their 6-speed transmission, and they said that if you ever get that transmission overheated warning, you need to do a drain and fill on the transmission 3 times. So I would imagine it's going to be very similar for this Honda Ridgeline. You probably should be doing a drain and fill 3 times after getting that warning. See, at those temperatures, seals harden, varnishes form, there's going to be damage. This was just a quick moment, so I mean, he probably doesn't have damage to his transmission, but if you run at that temp for a very long time, it will cause damage. But I personally believe you should avoid ever hitting a temperature above 240. So seriously, people, monitor your temperatures, your transmission, and your engine coolant. It's so very important. Don't wait for that automatic temperature light to come on. Proactively monitor. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, Parker was monitoring his transmission temperatures. He has this little phone app. It worked for him. Anytime we asked him, like, hey, what's your transmission temperature at? He was able to get on the radio and let us know. He is relentless, though, and he does not give up. To end this episode, I want to segue into the next video. I'll be taking my Honda Passport, the second generation Subaru Outback, with a upgraded cooling system, and as you can see, a really tall lift, and a Nissan Frontier, and a Toyota 4Runner. To get to the trailhead, you have to drive 4 miles and 1,300 feet in elevation. And something weird was happening. My transmission and engine coolant was getting abnormally hot. Ambient temperature was around 95 degrees. Hot day. But I've driven up this trail before in this exact weather, and my transmission would be at around, at this point, like in the mid 200s. But as you can see here, it was now 226 and coolant is at 234. I'm starting to get a little worried here. After a little rest, we continue on, just right before the switchbacks to the trail. The plan is to start the trail early next morning. And one thing that was really alarming was that the transmission temperature wasn't recovering as quickly. I've been up this trail 4 other times, and when transmission temperatures hit around 225, a good 15-minute break, and the temperatures would be at low 200s to the 190s.
All right, so transmission's running pretty hot. Let's go check right now to see how quickly it's dropping down, because it wasn't really dropping down that fast. And it should drop rapidly. Yeah, it's at 219. It has stayed really hot for a really long time. It's supposed to only take about like 5 minutes to drop down to operating temps, so something is up. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove this, I'm gonna unbolt this Nolo Designs front lip, because I think there was just more airflow with it gone. And then also, you look here, I think a placement of this fan, it's right on top of the heat sink. I think that what that's causing is it's trapping the heat in. So I'm going to move this fan out of the way so that the transmission cooler could breathe better. I was just kind of hoping that I would ram air into it, and maybe that's actually doing an undesired effect. Yeah, this lip is really hot. Hot, very hot. All right, so I just removed my skid plate. See that?
When did you put the fan in? Because that could also be the issue.
Right. Well, it was in there for a while, but I moved it closer probably less than a year ago. But see, in the last year, I haven't really been doing any hard wheeling, right?
Yeah, wait, that's the only cooler you have for the transmission?
Yeah.
Does it route back into your radiator for...
I don't know.
If it's routed like a factory type setup, it would.
Okay.
But that cooler's tiny. It's not going to make that much of a difference.
Right. I didn't think that it did. Like, I tell people, like, it'll make a big difference, like when you're driving up like the Cajon Pass or something, when there's air getting rammed into it.
Yeah.
It's made for like more for towing, I think.
Yeah.
Like high speed towing.
For something that you take off road,
right,
or put a lot of heavy load on it, this is a little small.
I didn't think it made much of a difference. And so this was added. So my Passport didn't have this at all. And I ran Coyote Flats without this, transcooler. Now, given it is deep, it's small, but it's deep, but it's nowhere near the size of like a giant, like Hayden or Derail transmission cooler.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we could find a cooler that fits well and doesn't block too much.
Well, here's the thing too. It uses proprietary connectors. I'm sure Manny could figure it out and find, or Manny already has a better solution. So
yeah,
we're gonna be going with this what we call a supercharger cooler.
So now I have some intentional spoiler alerts. I want you all to know this for the upcoming episodes. So the very next episode will be a trip to the Coyote Flats in Funnel Lake. It's a very challenging trail, and a lot of all-wheel drives simply don't have the gearing to make it. Like physically make it, not even an overheating issue. Some all-wheel drives will straight up just run out of gearing and just straight up stall on the trail. This is well documented. And actually the night before, there was someone with a regular Subaru Forester, a SJ, so it's a 4th generation Subaru Forester with a CVT, that tried, and he said that as he was climbing, his vehicle was slowing down and then it came to a stall. So he made his way back down the mountain. We said, hey, you could camp next to us, there's plenty of room. And that was that. And so that's well documented. That's what this trail does to vehicles. Well, obviously, if you're looking at the screen, you see Lee's Subaru and my Honda Passport up at the lake. So yeah, put 2 and 2 together and figure out that we made it up. I probably did fix my little heat gremlin. But I also need to talk about these upcoming Colorado episodes in preparation for this trail, because I wanted to upgrade my cooling system to the point where I never ever have to pull over and I just keep going and the thing just stays cool. So I had my friend Manny at New Age Performance out of Ventura, California, install something called the supercooler. This is a supercharger cooling system that is applied to cooling off a transmission, and in theory it should work beautifully, and when it did work, it was awesome. But there were some mechanical failures. Well, first of all, the drain plug, or I guess it's called a peacock, a weird sounding name for a plug. The O-ring on that was leaking. We had to replace that and get it fixed. And then we found that these special supercharger hose clamps needed to be tighter. What was happening is the coolant would get too hot, it would turn into steam, and it would burst out of these hoses that weren't tight enough. So after tightening all those down, refilling the coolant, I added this stuff called wetter water, which is supposed to keep everything about 9 degrees cooler if you're running a 50-50 coolant mix. Whatever that, I don't know if that was the magic, but everything together made things run beautifully. And I had 2 days of this system running perfectly, going up Cinnamon to California Pass, which was very steep, prolonged climbing, and then Imogene Pass. It worked perfectly. So just want to let you know that, yes, ran into some issues, but in the end, we figured it out.